Pay attention to the cake being wheeled into the Dubai Medical Center staff party at Jumeirah Grand Hotel. It's Friday, December 15, 2023, at 9:30 p.m. The hospital's 25th anniversary celebration. 500 staff members. The event coordinator announces, "We have a special surprise. We're also celebrating staff anniversaries tonight." The giant screen behind the stage lights up. Photos of married couples who work at the hospital. First photo, Dr. Jamal Mansour and Carmen Torres. Wedding date June 2021. The crowd applauds. Second photo, Dr. James Park and Carmen Torres. Wedding date April 2022. Confused murmuring. Third photo, Dr. Rafael Santos and Carmen Torres. Wedding date September 2023. The room goes silent. All three photos show the same woman in different wedding dresses with three different men. All three men are in the ballroom. All three are staring at the screen, then at each other, then searching the crowd for Carmen. Someone posted these photos deliberately. Someone at the hospital knew, and someone wanted everyone else to know tonight. Within 72 hours, one of these men would be dead, poisoned by Carmen when he threatened to destroy her entire life. Carmen Torres grew up on a concrete floor in Quezon City, Manila. Not metaphorically. The house where she spent the first 18 years of her life was 15 square meters of concrete and corrugated metal, home to 6 people. Her mother Rosa worked as a laundrywoman for wealthy families in the neighborhood, washing clothes by hand in a plastic basin for 200 pesos a day, approximately $3.50. Her father had disappeared when Carmen was 8 years old, left for Saudi Arabia promising to send money, and simply never came back. No explanation, no apology, just absence. Carmen had 3 younger siblings. Paulo, the youngest, died at age 12 from dengue fever because the family couldn't afford the 8,000 peso hospital deposit. Maria, now 28, works as a domestic helper in Qatar. Carlos, now 25, drives a jeepney in Manila earning barely enough to eat. Carmen was the eldest, the responsible one, the one who carried everyone's hopes on her shoulders from the moment she understood what poverty meant. She was brilliant in school. Teachers noticed her immediately. The girl who stayed after class to borrow textbooks, who memorized lessons because she couldn't afford notebooks, who treated education like it was the only ladder she could see. She graduated valedictorian from Quezon City High School in 2009. Her scholarship to the University of Santo Tomas College of Nursing was the proudest moment of Rosa's life. The entire neighborhood celebrated. Carmen Torres, the girl from the concrete floor, was going to university. She graduated nursing school in 2013 and began working at Philippine General Hospital earning 18,000 pesos a month, approximately $320. She sent 13,000 home to her mother every month without fail. Rosa used it to feed the family, to send Maria and Carlos to school, to fix the roof that leaked every monsoon season. Carmen kept 5,000 pesos for herself. Rent for a bed space in a boarding house, food, transportation. Nothing extra. No movies. No new clothes. No life beyond work and survival. For 5 years, Carmen lived this way. She worked 12-hour hospital shifts, came home to a boarding house room she shared with 3 other nurses, video called her mother every Sunday. She was 27 years old in 2018, watching her nursing school classmates get married, start families, build lives while she remained frozen in place, sending money home, waiting for something to change. In January 2018, Dubai Medical Center offered Carmen a nursing position. Salary, 12,000 dirhams per month, approximately $3,270. Triple what she earned in Manila. She accepted immediately. She arrived in Dubai on February 3, 2018, carrying 1 suitcase and every hope her family had ever placed in her. Dubai was overwhelming. The skyscrapers, the wealth, the sterile cleanliness of everything. Carmen shared an apartment in International City with 3 other Filipina nurses, paying 1,200 dirhams rent each month. She worked cardiac ICU at Dubai Medical Center, 12-hour shifts treating the sickest patients, the ones whose hearts were failing, whose bodies were giving up. She was good at it. Her supervisors noticed. Colleagues respected her. Patients remembered her name. She sent 8,000 dirhams home to Manila every month, kept 4,000 for expenses. Her mother used the money to renovate their house. Proper walls, a real roof, running water, electricity that didn't cut out every storm. Maria and Carlos finished university. The family ate 3 meals a day for the first time in Carmen's memory. This was why she'd come to Dubai. This was what made the loneliness bearable. But by 2020, Carmen was exhausted. 2 years of working 70-hour weeks, living in a shared apartment, video calling her family from 3,000 miles away. She was 29 years old and had sacrificed everything for everyone else. She had no savings, no social life, no relationship, nothing that belonged to her alone. Then her brother Carlos was diagnosed with leukemia. The call came in November 2020. Rosa, crying so hard Carmen couldn't understand the words at first. Carlos, age 22, collapsing at basketball practice, taken to the hospital, blood tests showing acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Treatment would cost 800,000 pesos, approximately $14,000. The family had nothing. Rosa was begging Carmen for help. Carmen had 6,000 dirhams in savings, approximately $1,600. It wasn't enough. She asked her roommates for loans. She worked every possible overtime shift. She picked up private nursing jobs caring for wealthy Emirati families on her days off. She scraped together 30,000 dirhams over 3 months, sent it all to Manila. It paid for Carlos's first round of chemotherapy. He needed 6 more rounds. Carmen was drowning. She couldn't save her brother and pay rent and send money for food and keep her family alive. She needed more money than nursing provided. She needed something she didn't have. She needed help. In March 2021, Dr. Jamal Mansour walked into Carmen's life at 2 a.m. during a code blue in the cardiac ICU. The patient, a 67-year-old Emirati man, had gone into ventricular fibrillation, his heart rhythm chaotic and deadly. Carmen had already started CPR, called the code team, prepared the defibrillator. Jamal arrived within 3 minutes, took over the resuscitation with the calm efficiency of someone who'd done this 1,000 times. They worked together for 35 minutes. The patient survived. Afterward, in the hallway outside the ICU, Jamal approached Carmen. "You're the best nurse I've worked with in this hospital. What's your name?" She told him. He asked if she'd like to get coffee sometime to discuss the case, to talk about cardiac care protocols. Carmen said yes, thinking it was professional. It wasn't. Dr. Jamal Mansour was 39 years old, Emirati, a cardiologist with a reputation for brilliance and precision. He was divorced, no children, from a wealthy family with investments in Dubai real estate. Handsome in the way that powerful men often are. Confident, well-dressed, accustomed to getting what they wanted. He'd been educated at Johns Hopkins, spoke English with an American accent, wore watches that cost more than Carmen's annual salary. They met for coffee 3 days later at a cafe in Dubai Marina. Jamal asked about her family, her background, why she'd come to Dubai. Carmen told him about Quezon City, about Paolo dying because they couldn't afford the hospital, about Carlos's leukemia, about sending money home every month. Jamal listened with an intensity that made her feel seen for the first time in years. Coffee became dinner. Dinner became regular meetings. By May 2021, they were dating. Carmen liked Jamal, but she didn't love him. He was kind, generous, interested in her life in ways that felt genuine. But there was a transactional quality to everything. He paid for every meal. He gave her gifts. Perfume, jewelry, expensive things she'd never owned. He asked about her brother's treatment, about how much money she needed. When she hesitated to tell him, he said, "Carmen, I can help. Let me help." On May 28, 2021, Jamal proposed. They were at the Burj Khalifa observation deck at sunset. The city spread below them like a promise. He said, "Marry me. I'll sponsor your citizenship. Your family can come to Dubai. Your mother, your brother, everyone. I'll take care of the medical expenses. You won't have to struggle anymore." Carmen looked at this man who was offering her everything she needed and nothing she wanted. She thought about Carlos in a Manila hospital bed, about her mother washing clothes for 200 pesos a day, about 18 years sleeping on a concrete floor. She said yes. They married on June 12, 2021, at Dubai courts. A civil ceremony, simple and quick. Jamal's family attended. His mother Sheikha, his father Sheikh Hassan, his sister Elena, his brother Khalid. Carmen's family watched via video call from Manila. Rosa cried through the entire ceremony. Carmen wore a white dress, not a gown, something modest Jamal had chosen. He wore traditional kandura. The ceremony lasted 15 minutes. Jamal's wedding gift to Carmen was 150,000 dirhams, approximately $40,800. She sent every dirham to Manila that same day. Carlos's treatment, the full 6 rounds of chemotherapy, was paid for. Her mother's house was renovated with a proper roof and walls. Maria's university tuition for the final year was covered. The money disappeared into her family's needs as quickly as it had appeared, and Carmen felt the weight lift and settle simultaneously. Her family would survive, and she would stay married to a man she didn't love to ensure it. The marriage to Jamal Mansour was comfortable and empty. Carmen moved into his villa in Arabian Ranches part-time, keeping her shared apartment for night shifts and the occasional need to be alone. The villa was enormous. 5 bedrooms, a pool, a garden maintained by staff Carmen never met. She had her own bedroom, her own bathroom, more space than she knew what to do with. Jamal worked 80-hour weeks at the hospital, traveled frequently to medical conferences in Europe and America, was rarely home. They had dinner together twice a week when their schedules aligned. The conversations were pleasant and shallow. Jamal asked about her day. She asked about his patients. They discussed nothing that mattered. Sex was infrequent and mechanical, an obligation both fulfilled without enthusiasm. Jamal was kind but absent, present in the villa but unavailable in every way that counted. No one at Dubai Medical Center knew they were married. Jamal insisted on keeping work and personal life separate. "It's unprofessional," he explained. "People will think you got your position through me, that you're here because you're my wife rather than because you're skilled." Carmen agreed, though it meant living a double life. Wife at the villa, single nurse at the hospital, constantly performing different versions of herself depending on where she stood. By December 2021, 6 months into the marriage, Carmen felt the loneliness more acutely than she had when she'd been single. She'd traded one kind of poverty for another. She had money now, security, citizenship status that would eventually allow her family to join her in Dubai. But she had no one to talk to, no one who saw her as anything beyond a role she played. Dutiful wife, efficient nurse, eldest daughter sending money home. In January 2022, Carmen requested a transfer from night shift to day shift. Night shift paid more, but day shift meant normal social life, colleagues who weren't exhausted, lunch breaks spent in the cafeteria instead of alone. Her supervisor approved the transfer. Carmen started working 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., attending staff events, reconnecting with the hospital's social rhythms. She met Dr. James Park at a staff birthday party in the hospital cafeteria in February 2022. James was a cardiac surgeon, 37 years old, British Korean, educated at Oxford and Imperial College London. He was brilliant, arrogant, emotionally distant in ways that colleagues found off-putting. But when he approached Carmen at the dessert table and said, "You're the ICU nurse everyone talks about, the one who never makes mistakes," she felt something shift. Someone had noticed her. Someone saw her work, her competence, her value beyond what she could provide. They started having coffee during breaks. James asked about her background, her family, her aspirations beyond bedside nursing. Carmen was careful not to mention Jamal. She told James she was single, living with roommates, focused on her career. James was intellectually stimulating in ways Jamal never had been. He asked her opinion on complex cases, debated treatment protocols with her as an equal, treated her like someone whose thoughts mattered. By March 2022, they were having dinner outside the hospital. James took her to expensive restaurants she'd never entered. Zuma, Nobu, restaurants where meals cost more than her weekly grocery budget. He asked about her dreams, what she wanted from life beyond nursing. Carmen told him about her family, about wanting to bring her mother to Dubai eventually, about hoping to afford a small house someday. James listened with the focused attention of someone genuinely interested. One evening in late March, after dinner at Pier Chic, James said something that changed everything. "Carmen, I don't believe in wasting time. I was married once. It lasted 11 months because I didn't know what I wanted. Now I do. I want you. Marry me." Carmen stared at him across the table, the Arabian Gulf dark behind him, the restaurant glittering with wealth she still couldn't believe she had access to. "James, we've only known each other 6 weeks. He leaned forward. "I've been married before. I know what incompatibility looks like. This isn't that. You're brilliant, you challenge me, you make me want to be present instead of just working constantly. I don't want to date for 2 years and discover what I already know. Marry me." Carmen was already married. She couldn't say yes. But James mentioned casually, almost as an afterthought, "I inherited a trust fund from my grandfather. Money isn't an issue for me. Whatever your family needs, medical expenses, education, housing, I can help." Carmen's brother Carlos needed follow-up surgery for complications from his leukemia treatment. The surgery cost 250,000 pesos, approximately $4,400. Jamal had already sent money that month for her mother's expenses. Carmen couldn't ask him for more without explaining why the family needed additional funds. She made a decision she knew was wrong but couldn't resist. She said yes to James Park. They flew to Phuket, Thailand, on April 6, 2022. Carmen told Jamal she was attending a nursing conference in Singapore, showed him a fake registration confirmation she'd created. She told her roommates she was visiting family in Manila, showed them a fake flight itinerary. She and James married on April 8 at a beachside resort in Phuket. A simple ceremony with a Thai wedding coordinator and 2 witnesses hired from the hotel staff. Carmen wore a different white dress, simpler than the one she'd worn for Jamal, something she'd bought at a mall in Dubai Marina the day before they left. The marriage certificate was Thai, legal in Thailand but not automatically recognized in UAE. This created a gray area Carmen could exploit. She used her maiden name on the certificate. She told James her passport was being renewed and she'd update the marriage registration once it arrived. James didn't question it. He gave her a wedding gift of 180,000 dirhams, approximately $49,000. Carmen sent it all to Manila the day they returned to Dubai. Carlos's surgery, Maria's wedding expenses, her mother's house repairs. The money disappeared into her family's needs within hours of arriving in her Philippine bank account. Carmen now lived 3 separate lives. She was Mrs. Mansour at Jamal's villa in Arabian Ranches 3 nights a week. She was Mrs. Park at James's apartment in Dubai Marina 2 nights a week. She was single nurse Torres at her shared apartment in International City 2 nights a week, maintaining the fiction for her roommates that she was dating but not serious with anyone. The logistics were exhausting. She kept separate phones for Jamal and James, color-coded calendars tracking which husband expected her when, carefully orchestrated excuses for why she couldn't be present when both men were available. Jamal traveled frequently for medical conferences, which gave her time with James. James worked late surgeries 3 nights a week, which gave her time with Jamal. When both were available simultaneously, Carmen claimed night shifts she wasn't actually working and stayed at her apartment, alone, trying to remember which lies she'd told to whom. By July 2022, Carmen had lost 8 kilograms. She wasn't sleeping. She was taking anxiety medication stolen from the hospital pharmacy, popping pills in the staff bathroom between patients, trying to calm the panic attacks that hit her multiple times a shift. Her ICU supervisor, Dr. Patricia Reyes, noticed. "Carmen, you look terrible. Are you sick?" Carmen lied. "I'm fine. Just stressed about family issues." Dr. Reyes didn't believe her but didn't push. Carmen knew she was in too deep. She couldn't divorce Jamal without losing her citizenship sponsorship, without disappointing his family who treated her like a daughter. She couldn't leave James without losing his financial support for her family's ongoing medical expenses. She was trapped by her own choices, by the web of lies she'd constructed, by the money flowing to Manila that kept her family alive and comfortable. She told herself she'd fix it eventually. She'd divorce one husband, keep the other, find a way to make it sustainable. But months passed and she did nothing because the alternative was choosing who to lose, and she couldn't afford to lose either. Then in January 2023, Dr. Rafael Santos walked into the cardiac ICU at Dubai Medical Center, and Carmen's impossible situation became catastrophic. Rafael was a 34-year-old anesthesiologist from Manila, Filipino, newly hired by the hospital. Carmen heard him speaking Tagalog to another nurse and turned around. She recognized him immediately. Rafael Santos had grown up 3 streets away from her in Quezon City. They'd attended the same elementary school, played in the same dusty streets, gone to the same church every Sunday. Rafael had been in love with Carmen since they were 14 years old. She'd known. She'd cared for him, but never romantically. He was safe, familiar, predictable. Not exciting enough for the ambitious girl who wanted to escape Quezon City. But when Carmen saw Rafael in the ICU, professional in his scrubs, smiling at her like she was the only person in the room, she felt something break open in her chest. He represented home, safety, someone who knew her before she became the woman juggling 3 lives, sending money home, drowning in lies. Someone who saw Carmen Torres from the concrete floor in Quezon City. Not Mrs. Mansour or Mrs. Park or Nurse Torres performing competence. They spent every break together. Rafael told her he'd applied to Dubai Medical Center specifically because she worked there, that he'd been saving money for 6 years to follow her. "I never stopped thinking about you," he said one afternoon in the hospital cafeteria. "I know you probably don't feel the same way, but I had to try." Carmen realized she loved him. Not the practical affection she felt for Jamal. Not the intellectual partnership she had with James. Real love. The kind that felt like coming home after years of being lost. Rafael proposed in August 2023 at Luneta Park in Manila while they were both on vacation. Carmen knew she shouldn't say yes. She was married twice already, but she wanted Rafael more than she'd wanted anything in her life. She said yes. They married on September 2, 2023, at Quiapo Church in Manila. A traditional Filipino Catholic wedding with 150 guests, Carmen's family, Rafael's family, childhood friends. Carmen wore a Filipiniana wedding dress with butterfly sleeves. The ceremony was joyful and genuine. Everything her other weddings had never been. Rafael's gift to Carmen wasn't money but a promise. "I'll help support your family. You don't have to carry everything alone anymore." Carmen returned to Dubai with 3 husbands. All 3 worked at Dubai Medical Center. None of them knew about the others. And Carmen Torres, the girl from the concrete floor who'd come to Dubai to save her family, had constructed an impossible lie that would eventually cost someone their life. Act 3. By November 2023, Carmen Torres is working 70-hour weeks to avoid being home with any of her 3 husbands. She's lost 12 kilograms since January. Her scrubs hang loose on her frame. Dark circles shadow her eyes. Her hands shake when she's not actively working. She's taking sleeping pills every night, anxiety medication during the day, both stolen from the hospital pharmacy in quantities small enough that inventory discrepancies can be blamed on documentation errors. Her supervisor, Dr. Patricia Reyes, pulls her aside on November 8 during a shift change. "Carmen, you look sick. When was the last time you took a vacation?" Carmen lies. "I'm fine. Just worried about my mother. She's been having health issues." Dr. Reyes doesn't believe her but doesn't push further. Carmen is too valuable, too competent, too reliable. The ICU runs smoother when she's working. But Carmen is unraveling. She has 3 phones now, each labeled with a small colored sticker on the back. Red for Jamal, blue for James, green for Rafael. She keeps them in separate pockets, checks each one compulsively, terrified of answering the wrong phone with the wrong name. Her calendar is color-coded with the same system. Red nights at Jamal's villa. Blue nights at James's apartment. Green nights when Rafael expects her at the small studio apartment they're supposedly sharing in Discovery Gardens, though Carmen is rarely there. When all 3 men are available simultaneously, Carmen invents emergency shifts, tells each husband she's been called in to cover for a sick colleague. She spends those nights at her original shared apartment in International City with her roommates, lying in bed staring at the ceiling, running through scenarios of how this ends. Every scenario ends in disaster. Jamal is asking why she's distant. James is asking why she seems stressed all the time. Rafael is asking why she can't spend more time together, why she's always working, whether she regrets marrying him. Carmen makes excuses, tells each of them what they want to hear, and feels herself disappearing into the lies. On December 1st, 2023, the hospital administration sends an email to all staff. Save the date. Dubai Medical Center's 25th anniversary celebration. December 15th, Jumeirah Grand Hotel, 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. Black tie event. All staff encouraged to attend. Bring your spouse. Carmen reads the email during a break and feels her chest tighten. She deletes it immediately. Over the next 2 weeks, the anniversary party is all anyone talks about in the hospital. The administration has hired event coordinators, secured one of Dubai's most expensive venues, approved an open bar. This is the social event of the year for Dubai Medical Center staff. Carmen tells Jamal she has to work that night. She tells James she has to work that night. She tells Rafael she has to work that night. She plans to attend for 30 minutes, show her face to avoid questions from supervisors, then leave before any of her husbands might arrive. On December 12th, Carmen receives an email from the hospital's event coordinator, Leila Martinez, asking staff to submit wedding photos for a special anniversary tribute. We're celebrating not just the hospital's 25 years, but the love stories that began here. If you met your spouse while working at Dubai Medical Center, please submit a wedding photo and your wedding date to events at Dubai Medicenter AE by December 14th. Carmen had submitted a photo months earlier, back in June, when the hospital asked for photos for an internal newsletter celebrating staff milestones. She'd submitted the photo from her wedding to Jamal, the civil ceremony at Dubai courts in June 2021. She'd forgotten about it completely. Now, seeing this email about the anniversary tribute, she feels a flash of panic. But the email says, if you met your spouse while working at Dubai Medical Center. She met Jamal while working here, but she also met James and Rafael while working here. Surely they won't have submitted photos. Jamal keeps their marriage private. James is too antisocial to participate in hospital social events. Rafael just started in January and wouldn't think to submit anything. Carmen deletes the email and tries to forget about it. December 15th, 2023, 8 p.m. Carmen is finishing a shift in the cardiac ICU when her coworker, Nurse Divina Cruz, asks if she's going to the anniversary party. It starts in an hour. You should come, even for a little while. Carmen says maybe. She's tired. She might just go home. Divina insists. Come for one drink. Everyone will be there. It'll be fun. At 8:30 p.m., Carmen changes out of her scrubs in the staff locker room, puts on the navy blue evening gown she keeps in her locker for hospital formal events. She applies makeup in the mirror, trying to cover the exhaustion, the weight loss, the visible evidence of 6 months spent juggling 3 husbands. She looks at her reflection and barely recognizes herself. She takes a taxi to Jumeirah Grand Hotel, arrives at 8:50 p.m. The ballroom is magnificent. Crystal chandeliers, white and gold decor, round tables seating 10 people each, a stage with a massive screen behind it. 500 staff members are already there, dressed in black tie, drinking, laughing, celebrating. Carmen gets a glass of white wine at the bar and finds a table near the back with other ICU nurses. She plans to stay 30 minutes, then claim exhaustion and leave. At 9:15 p.m., Carmen checks her 3 phones. Jamal texted, family dinner ran late. Still in Abu Dhabi. Won't make it to the party. See you tomorrow. Relief floods through her. One husband accounted for, not attending. James texted, emergency surgery went longer than expected. Just finishing. Probably won't attend the party. Exhausted. 2 husbands not attending. Carmen allows herself to relax slightly. Rafael texted, switched shifts with Mohammed, so I could come see you for a bit. I'll be there around 10 p.m. Can't wait to see you in a dress instead of scrubs. Carmen's relief evaporates. Rafael is coming. She needs to leave before he arrives. She checks her watch. 9:18 p.m. She has 40 minutes. At 9:25 p.m., Jamal texts again. Plans changed. My brother is driving me back to Dubai. I'll stop by the party for an hour to show face. See you there. Carmen's hands are shaking. She texts back, I'm actually not feeling well. Left the party early. At home resting. She sends it, then realizes, if Jamal comes to the party and people mention they saw her there, her lie is exposed. She needs to leave now. At 9:27 p.m., James texts, surgery finished earlier than expected. Colleague convinced me to stop by the party for one drink before going home. Are you there? Carmen feels sick. She stands up from her table, ready to leave through the side exit. At 9:30 p.m., the lights in the ballroom dim. A spotlight illuminates the stage. The event coordinator, Leila Martinez, 29 years old, wearing a gold dress, takes the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special surprise. Staff members will out a massive 5-tier cake, gold and white, elaborate. The crowd applauds. Carmen is halfway to the exit when Leila continues. We're celebrating 25 years of Dubai Medical Center. But we're also celebrating you, our staff, your dedication, your families, your love stories that began within these walls. The giant screen behind the stage lights up. Carmen stops walking. Leila's voice fills the ballroom. Tonight, we're honoring couples who met and married while working here at Dubai Medical Center. Let's celebrate love. The screen shows the first photo. Dr. Youssef Al-Rashid and nurse Fatima Hassan, married March 2019. The couple is at a table near the front, blushing, waving as everyone applauds. The second photo, Dr. Patricia Reyes and engineer Marco Santos, married June 2020. More applause. Patricia stands, laughing, blowing kisses to the crowd. The third photo appears. Dr. Jamal Mansour and Carmen Torres, married June 12, 2021. The photo shows Carmen in her simple white dress at Dubai courts, holding Jamal's hand, both of them facing the camera with formal smiles. The crowd applauds loudly. Jamal Mansour is well known, respected, a senior cardiologist. People are looking around. Where's Dr. Mansour? Is he here? Carmen is frozen. She can't move, can't breathe. The fourth photo appears. Dr. James Park and Carmen Torres, married April 8, 2022. The photo shows Carmen in a different white dress on a beach in Thailand, the ocean behind them, holding James's hand, both of them smiling. The applause falters. Confused murmuring spreads through the ballroom. People are looking at each other. Someone says, wait, is that the same woman? Someone else, that's Carmen Torres, the ICU nurse. Why is she in 2 wedding photos with 2 different doctors? The fifth photo appears. Dr. Rafael Santos and Carmen Torres, married September 2, 2023. The photo shows Carmen in a Filipiniana wedding dress at Quiapo Church in Manila, holding Rafael's hand, surrounded by family, genuinely joyful. The room goes completely silent. 500 people staring at the screen. 3 photos. 3 different wedding dresses. 3 different men. All the same woman. All the same nurse. Leila Martinez is staring at her tablet, confused, checking her records. I don't understand. These were all submitted by different staff members. Her voice trails off. She looks at the photos again, looks at the crowd. Dr. Patricia Reyes stands up from her table, staring at the screen. Those are all Carmen Torres. I recognize her. She works in my ICU. The murmuring becomes loud, talking becomes shouting. People are pulling out their phones, taking photos of the screen. Someone is recording video. Carmen is trying to reach the side exit when someone shouts her name. She turns. Everyone is looking at her. 500 faces. 500 pairs of eyes. She sees colleagues pointing, whispering, phones aimed at her. She turns back toward the exit. At 9:34 p.m., Dr. Jamal Mansour walks through the main ballroom entrance. He's greeting colleagues when someone grabs his arm, points at the screen. Jamal, Isn't that you? In the first photo. But there are two more photos of the same woman with different men. Jamal looks at the screen, sees his wedding photo, then sees Carmen with James Park, then sees Carmen with Rafael Santos. His face drains of color. He stares at the screen for 5 full seconds, then starts scanning the crowd for Carmen. At 9:35 p.m., Dr. James Park arrives. He walks toward the bar when a colleague stops him. "James, mate, is that you?" On the screen, James looks up, sees his wedding photo with Carmen, then sees 2 other wedding photos of Carmen with different men. His expression doesn't change, but his jaw clenches. His hands form fists at his sides. At 9:36 p.m., Dr. Rafael Santos walks through the side entrance. He'd switched his shift specifically to attend, to see Carmen, to spend 30 minutes with his wife before going back to work. He sees the screen, sees his wedding photo from Quiapo Church, smiles, thinking how beautiful Carmen looked that day. Then he sees 2 other wedding photos. His smile disappears. He stares at the screen, trying to understand what he's seeing. All 3 men are now in the ballroom. All 3 are looking at the screen, then at each other, then searching the crowd for Carmen. Someone shouts, "That's her!" Near the exit. Carmen is trying to leave, but the crowd has blocked the exit. Everyone's standing, talking, pointing. She's trapped. Jamal sees her first, pushes through the crowd, shouting, "Carmen!" 500 people turn to look at her. She freezes. Jamal reaches her. "What is this? What is this?" His voice is loud enough that people 10 tables away can hear. James sees them, realizes who Jamal must be, pushes through the crowd from the opposite direction. Rafael sees both men converging on Carmen, understands something terrible is happening, moves toward them. The 3 men reach Carmen simultaneously at 9:38 p.m. The entire ballroom is watching. Someone is recording everything on their phone. Jamal grabs Carmen's arm. "You're married to him?" And someone else. James stands 2 feet away. "You're married to the cardiologist?" "To both of us." Raphael's voice is quiet, broken. "Carmen, tell me those photos are fake. Please tell me they're fake." Carmen can't speak. She's shaking. Dr. Patricia Reyes pushes through the crowd, sees the scene, understands what's happening. "Carmen, are you married to all 3 of these men?" Carmen whispers, "I can explain." Jamal shouts over her, "Explain? You're married to 2 other men while married to me." James, his voice cold, "3 marriages. You've been married to 3 different men." Raphael, crying, "I thought you loved me. You married me 2 months ago. In our church. In front of our families." Jamal, "2 months ago? I've been married to her for 2.5 years. The 3 men start shouting at each other. Hospital security arrives, separates them, creates space. The hospital CEO, Dr. Mansour El-Ali, appears with the head of HR. "Everyone involved, come with me. Now." Carmen, Jamal, James, and Raphael are escorted out of the ballroom to a private conference room on the hotel's 2nd floor. The party ends immediately. Staff members leave in groups, talking, shocked, already uploading photos and videos to social media. By 10 p.m., the video of the 3 wedding photos on the screen has been posted to Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. By 10:30 p.m., it's viral. Dubai nurse married to 3 doctors at same hospital. In the conference room, Dr. El-Ali demands an explanation. Jamal says he married Carmen in June 2021, legal Islamic marriage, registered at Dubai courts. James says he married Carmen in April 2022, legal marriage in Thailand. Raphael says he married Carmen in September 2023, Catholic ceremony in Manila. Dr. El-Ali asks Carmen, "How many of these marriages are legally valid?" Carmen whispers, "All of them." Jamal, "That's polygamy. That's illegal in UAE. You'll be arrested." James, "And deported." Raphael stands up, walks to the corner of the room, unable to listen. Carmen tries to explain. The poverty, her brother's leukemia, her family's medical expenses, her mother's dependence. "I didn't plan this. Ahmed gave me citizenship." James gave me money for my family. Raphael was the only one I actually loved. Raphael leaves the room, can't stay, can't listen. Jamal. You married me for citizenship? That's marriage fraud. James. You married me for money? I gave you nearly 200,000 dirhams. Carmen. My brother was dying. My sister needed help. My mother's house was falling apart. I sent everything to Manila. I didn't keep any of it. Jamal. I don't care. You committed fraud. You lied to all of us. Dr. Alali picks up his phone. I'm required to report this to Dubai police. Polygamy is a criminal offense in the UAE. He calls authorities. Dubai police arrive at 11:45 p.m. Take statements from all four. Carmen is questioned for 2 hours, warned not to leave Dubai, released at 2 a.m. Carmen takes a taxi back to her shared apartment in International City at 2:15 a.m. Her roommates are awake, watching the viral video on their phones, seeing Carmen's face on social media, reading the comments. Thousands of comments. She's a scammer. She's a genius. She's a criminal. Poor woman was desperate. She's a monster. The roommates don't know what to say to her. Carmen walks past them to her room, closes the door, sits on her bed in her navy blue evening gown, and stares at the wall. At 2:30 a.m., her phone rings. The red phone. Jamal. She answers. His voice is cold, controlled, furious in a way that's more terrifying than shouting. I'm calling my lawyer first thing tomorrow morning. I'm pressing charges. Marriage fraud, bigamy, theft by deception. You'll be arrested, tried, convicted, and deported. Carmen. Jamal. Please. He cuts her off. I gave you citizenship status. I introduced you to my family. My mother loves you. My sister considers you her best friend. You humiliated me in front of 500 people. The video is everywhere. Millions of views. My family is calling asking what happened. My colleagues saw it. Everyone knows. I look like a fool. Carmen. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt anyone. Jamal. Sorry doesn't fix this. You destroyed my reputation. I'll destroy your life. You'll go to prison in UAE for marriage fraud. Then you'll be deported to the Philippines. And I'll make sure your family suffers too. Carmen. My family didn't do anything wrong. Jamal. Your family benefited from your fraud. The money I gave you, the 150,000 dirhams, you sent it to Manila. That's proceeds of fraud. I'll sue them in Philippine courts for every dirham. I'll have your mother's house seized. Your brother will lose his medical coverage. Your sister will lose everything. I have lawyers in Manila. I have the resources to destroy all of you. Carmen. Please don't do this. They didn't know about the other marriages. They're innocent. Jamal. No one is innocent. You used my money, my name, my citizenship. Everyone pays. He hangs up. Carmen sits in the dark, holding the phone. Everything she built for her family over 6 years is about to be destroyed. Her mother will lose the renovated house. Her siblings will lose their education funding. Carlos will lose medical coverage for his leukemia follow-ups. And Carmen will go to prison in UAE, then be deported, blacklisted from ever working in the Gulf again. At 3 a.m., Carmen calls her mother in Manila. At 7 a.m. there. Rosa answers, Anik, I saw the video. Everyone in the neighborhood saw. The whole Philippines saw. What happened? Carmen tells her everything through tears. Rosa is silent for a long time. Then, you did this for us? Anik, we never asked you to destroy yourself. Carmen, I couldn't let you suffer anymore. Not after Paulo died. Not after Carlos got sick. Rosa, and now you'll suffer forever. Oh, Carmen. They cry together on the phone for 20 minutes. Carmen tells her mother about Jamal's threats, about the lawsuit, about losing the house. Rosa says, let him take the house. Let him take everything. I just want you safe. But Carmen knows it's not that simple. Jamal has the resources, the connections, the rage to follow through. He'll destroy her family to punish her, unless she stops him. At 4 a.m., Carmen is still awake, thinking. She knows hospital protocols, medications, dosages, how to induce cardiac arrest without leaving obvious traces. She's a cardiac ICU nurse. She's seen dozens of patients die from medication errors, from drug interactions, from complications that look natural. She considers what would look believable for a 41-year-old man under extreme stress. Heart attack, stroke, sudden cardiac arrest. Jamal is healthy, athletic, no medical history, but he's been under enormous stress. The public humiliation, the betrayal, the viral video seen by millions. Stress can trigger cardiac events. If Jamal died of a heart attack in the next few days, after the public scandal, would anyone question it? Carmen opens her laptop, searches for cardiac medications that can induce fatal arrhythmia. Digoxin. In therapeutic doses, it strengthens heart contractions. In high doses, it causes ventricular fibrillation, cardiac arrest, death. It's used in the cardiac ICU where she works. She has access. At 11 a.m. on December 16th, Carmen goes to Dubai Medical Center. She's been suspended pending investigation, but her hospital ID still works. Security doesn't stop her. She goes to the pharmacy, uses her login credentials to requisition digoxin. She marks it as ICU inventory restock. No one questions it. She signs for a 10 milliliters vial, puts it in her bag, leaves. At 2 p.m., Carmen texts Jamal. Please, can we talk? Face to face. I want to apologize properly. Your villa. Tonight. He responds 30 minutes later. Fine. 7 p.m. This doesn't change anything. I'm still pressing charges. My lawyer is drafting the lawsuit. Carmen. I understand. I just need to say sorry. That's all. At 6:45 p.m., Carmen arrives at Jamal's villa in Arabian Ranches. She still has keys. He hasn't changed the locks. She enters through the front door. Jamal is in the living room, sitting on the couch, looking at his phone. He doesn't stand when she enters, doesn't acknowledge her beyond a cold glance. Carmen sits across from him. Jamal, I know I hurt you. I know sorry isn't enough, but please don't destroy my family. They didn't know about the other marriages. They thought I just had a good job, that I was sending money because I earned it. Jamal looks up. You used my money to fund relationships with 2 other men. You humiliated me publicly. You think I care about your family's innocence. Carmen tries every approach. She begs. She cries. She offers to work to pay him back every dirham. Jamal is unmoved. I don't want your money. I want you ruined. I want you in prison. I want everyone who benefited from your fraud to suffer. Carmen realizes negotiation is impossible. This man will follow through on every threat. Her family will lose everything. She'll lose everything. She says, let me make you dinner. One last time. Please. I know you're angry, but we were married for 2 years. Let me do this one thing. Jamal. I'm not hungry. Carmen. Coffee then. Let me make your Turkish coffee. The way you like it. One last time. Jamal sighs, irritated but willing to let her perform this small ritual if it means she'll leave afterward. Fine. Make the coffee. Then leave. Carmen goes to the kitchen at 7:15 p.m. She makes Turkish coffee the way Jamal taught her 2 years ago. Finely ground coffee, cardamom, sugar, water in a sieve heated slowly. While the coffee is heating, she takes the digoxin vial from her purse. She crushes 20 tablets using a mortar and pestle she finds in the cabinet. 10 milligrams total. The lethal dose is 5 to 10 milligrams. She stirs the powder into Jamal's coffee. The bitter coffee masks the taste. She brings the coffee to Jamal at 7:45 p.m. He takes it, sips, makes a face. Tastes bitter. Carmen. I added extra sugar. You've been under so much stress. Jamal drinks the coffee, all of it, sets the cup down. They talk for 15 minutes. Carmen keeps him calm, distracted, asks about his family, says she'll write apology letters to his mother and sister. Jamal is dismissive but engaged enough that he doesn't notice when his hands start trembling slightly at 8:05 p.m. At 8:12 p.m., Jamal says, I feel dizzy. Strange. Carmen. You've been under incredible stress. The scandal, the video, everything. Lie down for a minute. She helps him to the couch. He lies back, closes his eyes. At 8:18 p.m., Jamal's heart rhythm becomes irregular. Digoxin toxicity causes the heart to beat chaotically, unable to pump blood effectively. He clutches his chest. Something's wrong. Something's really wrong. Carmen, I'll call an ambulance. She doesn't move. She sits in the chair across from him, watching. At 8:22 p.m., Jamal goes into ventricular fibrillation. His heart is quivering instead of beating, unable to circulate blood. He's gasping, trying to speak, his eyes wide with panic and confusion. Carmen watches without expression. At 8:27 p.m., Jamal loses consciousness, his body going limp on the couch. At 8:31 p.m., his heart stops completely. Carmen walks over, checks his carotid pulse. Nothing. She waits, watches, waits 10 more minutes to be absolutely certain. At 8:41 p.m., she picks up her phone and calls emergency services. Hysterical, convincing. My husband. He collapsed. We were talking and he said he felt dizzy and then he just collapsed. Please help. Please send someone. Paramedics arrive at 8:53 p.m. Jamal is dead. Body still warm. No rigor mortis yet. They attempt resuscitation. CPR, defibrillation, epinephrine. Nothing works. He's pronounced dead at 9:07 p.m. Carmen is the perfect grieving widow, hysterical, sobbing, asking what happened. How is this possible? He was fine. They were just talking. The paramedics note the circumstances. Sudden cardiac arrest in a 41-year-old man with no cardiac history, possibly stress-induced given the recent public scandal. They've all seen the viral video. They know about the 3 husbands, the humiliation at the hospital party. Stress can kill. Jamal's family is notified. His sister Elena arrives at the villa at 10:15 p.m. Destroyed, disbelieving. What happened? Jamal was healthy. He was athletic. How does someone just collapse? Carmen, through tears, I don't know. We were talking. He said he felt dizzy. Then he fell. I called the ambulance immediately, but they couldn't save him. Elena collapses into Carmen's arms, both women crying. Elena doesn't suspect Carmen. No one suspects Carmen. She's the wife, the victim, the woman whose life just fell apart in front of 500 people 2 days ago. She's grieving too. Why would anyone think she's a murderer? At 11 p.m., Jamal's body is transported to the Dubai Police Forensic Medicine Department for autopsy. Standard procedure for sudden unexplained deaths. Carmen goes home to her apartment, lies in bed fully clothed, and waits for the knock on the door she knows will eventually come. December 17, 2023, 8 a.m. Dr. Noor Khalifa arrives at the Dubai Police Forensic Medicine Department to perform the autopsy on Dr. Jamal Mansour. She's 44 years old, has conducted over 3,000 autopsies in her 18-year career, approaches every case with the same methodical precision. She reviews the circumstances. 41-year-old male, previously healthy, collapsed suddenly at home, pronounced dead by paramedics. Wife present at time of death. Recent significant life stress documented in media reports. Dr. Khalifa begins the external examination at 8:30 a.m. No signs of trauma. No injuries. No needle marks. Jamal's body shows the physical conditioning of someone who exercised regularly, developed musculature, low body fat percentage. She notes this in her report. A man in excellent physical condition. No obvious explanation for sudden cardiac arrest. The internal examination begins at 9:15 a.m. Dr. Khalifa opens the chest cavity, removes the heart, examines it under surgical lighting. The heart tissue shows signs of acute cardiac failure, but the coronary arteries are clear. No blockages, no atherosclerosis, no structural abnormalities that would explain sudden death. This doesn't make sense for a 41-year-old athlete who collapsed from natural causes. Dr. Khalifa orders a full toxicology screen. Blood samples, tissue samples, vitreous humor from the eyes, gastric contents. She sends them to the lab with a priority flag. Results typically take 24 to 48 hours. She completes the autopsy at 11:30 a.m. Preliminary cause of death listed as acute cardiac failure, etiology undetermined, pending toxicology. At 2 p.m., the toxicology results arrive faster than expected. The lab flagged them as urgent. Dr. Khalifa reads the report. Digoxin level 8.7 nanograms per milliliter. Therapeutic range is 0.5 to 2.0 nanograms per milliliter. Anything above 2.0 is toxic. Above 5.0 is potentially fatal. Jamal's level is 8.7. This is not natural causes. This is not stress-induced cardiac arrest. This is poisoning. Dr. Khalifa calls Dubai Police Criminal Investigation Department at 2:15 p.m. I have a homicide. Dr. Jamal Mansour died of digoxin toxicity. Lethal dose. This was deliberate. Detective Samir Al-Hassan receives the case at 2:30 p.m. He's 48 years old, has been with Dubai Police CID for 24 years, specializes in homicide investigations. He's investigated over 200 murders, closed 183 of them. He reads Dr. Khalifa's preliminary report, reads the toxicology results, and immediately knows where to start. Digoxin is a cardiac medication. Who has access to digoxin? Medical professionals. Who had motive to kill Jamal Mansour? Detective Al-Hassan pulls up his phone, searches social media, finds the viral video from the Dubai Medical Center party. He watches it 3 times. Carmen Torres married to 3 doctors. Jamal Mansour, one of the husbands, publicly humiliated in front of 500 people. The video was posted December 15th. Jamal died December 16th. Less than 48 hours after the exposure. Al-Hassan reviews the initial police report from December 15th when the polygamy was reported. Statements from all 4 people: Carmen Torres, Jamal Mansour, James Park, Rafael Santos. Jamal's statement included threats. He told police he intended to press criminal charges against Carmen for marriage fraud. He intended to sue her family in the Philippines to recover money he'd given her. He intended to have her arrested, convicted, and deported. Carmen had motive. Jamal was about to destroy her life and her family's lives. And now Jamal is dead from a drug Carmen had easy access to. Detective Al-Hassan interviews Jamal's sister Elena at 5 p.m. She's devastated, can barely speak through tears. Al-Hassan asks about Jamal's last day. Elena says Jamal called her on the afternoon of December 16th. Said Carmen had texted asking to meet at his villa to apologize. Jamal agreed to meet her at 7 p.m. That was the last time Elena spoke to her brother. Al-Hassan, did your brother take any cardiac medications? Was he being treated for any heart conditions? Elena, no. Jamal was perfectly healthy. He ran marathons. He didn't even take aspirin. That's why this makes no sense. The paramedics said heart attack, but Jamal's heart was fine. Al-Hassan obtains a warrant for Jamal's villa at 6 p.m. Forensics teams arrive at 7 p.m. Process the scene. They photograph everything, bag evidence, dust for fingerprints. In the living room, they find the coffee cup Jamal used, still on the side table where he'd set it down before collapsing. The cup is sent to the lab for residue analysis. Results come back at 10 p.m. Digoxin residue in the coffee cup. The drug that killed Jamal was in his coffee. Carmen made him coffee. Carmen gave him the coffee. Carmen watched him die. At 9 p.m., Al-Hassan obtains a warrant for Carmen's apartment in International City. Police arrive at 9:30 p.m. Carmen is there with her roommates, sitting on her bed, staring at nothing. Officers search her room. They find her hospital ID badge, her laptop, her 3 phones with the colored stickers. On her laptop, browser history shows searches from the morning of December 16th. Digoxin lethal dose. How much digoxin to cause cardiac arrest? Digoxin detection in autopsy. In her bathroom trash can, officers find a syringe wrapper. In her purse, they find her hospital pharmacy access card. Al-Hassan requests Carmen's pharmacy records from Dubai Medical Center. The records show Carmen requisitioned a 10 milliliters vial of digoxin on December 16th at 11:23 a.m., marked as ICU inventory restock. But when Al-Hassan calls the ICU supervisor, Dr. Patricia Reyes, she confirms no such restock was ordered. Carmen stole the medication. Detective Al-Hassan arrests Carmen Torres at 9:45 p.m. on December 17th. Charges: first-degree premeditated murder. Carmen says nothing as officers handcuff her, read her Miranda rights, escort her to the police car. Her roommates watch from the apartment doorway, crying, not understanding how the Carmen they knew became a woman who murdered her husband. December 18th, 2023, 10 a.m. Carmen is interrogated at Dubai Police Headquarters. She has a public defender, Amina Youssef, a 36-year-old attorney who advises Carmen to remain silent. But Detective Al-Hassan presents the evidence methodically, piece by piece, building a case Carmen cannot refute. The toxicology report: Jamal died of digoxin toxicity, 8.7 nanograms per milliliter, 4 times the lethal dose. The pharmacy records: Carmen requisitioned digoxin the morning of December 16th, the day Jamal died. The coffee cup contained digoxin residue, Carmen's fingerprints on the handle. The browser history: Carmen searched lethal doses of digoxin hours before Jamal died. The text messages: Carmen asked Jamal to meet at his villa. She was alone with him when he collapsed. The timeline: Carmen waited 10 minutes after Jamal's heart stopped before calling emergency services, ensuring he was dead. Al-Hassan: Carmen, Dr. Jamal Mansour died of digoxin poisoning. You requisitioned digoxin from the hospital pharmacy the day he died. You were alone with him when he collapsed. His coffee contained digoxin. You made that coffee. Explain this. Carmen's lawyer: do you have direct evidence my client administered the drug? Al-Hassan: we have her fingerprints on the cup. We have her pharmacy access logs showing she stole the medication. We have her internet searches showing she researched how to kill him. We have motive. Jamal threatened to destroy her and her family. She needed him gone. Carmen breaks. Her lawyer tries to stop her, but Carmen starts talking and cannot stop. He was going to destroy my family. My mother would lose her house. My brother would lose his medical coverage. My sister would lose everything. Jamal said he'd sue them in the Philippines, that he'd make them pay for my fraud. I couldn't let that happen. Amina Youssef: Carmen, stop talking. Don't say another word. Carmen keeps going. I put the digoxin in his coffee, 20 tablets. I crushed them, stirred them in. I watched him drink it. I watched him collapse. I watched him die. I waited to make sure he was dead before I called the ambulance. I did it because he was going to destroy everyone I love. The confession is recorded, transcribed, signed. Carmen Torres, cardiac ICU nurse, 32 years old, confesses to first-degree premeditated murder. She's formally charged and transferred to Al Awar Central Jail to await trial. The news spreads internationally within hours. Dubai nurse with 3 husbands murders one, becomes global headline. Philippine media interviews Carmen's family. Rosa Torres, crying on camera: my daughter is not a murderer. She was desperate. She did everything for us. We didn't ask her to kill anyone. James Park is notified of Carmen's arrest on December 19th. He gives a statement to police confirming the marriage, the money he gave her, his shock at discovering the other husbands. He tells Detective Al-Hassan: I gave her nearly 200,000 dirhams. I thought she loved me. She was just using me for money while married to 2 other men. Now one of them is dead. I'm leaving Dubai. I never want to hear her name again. James resigns from Dubai Medical Center on December 20th, accepts a cardiac surgery position at Singapore General Hospital, leaves the country on December 22nd. He refuses all media interviews. He wants to disappear. Rafael Santos visits Carmen in jail on December 19th. They sit separated by glass, speaking through phones. Rafael's eyes are red from crying. Did you kill him? Carmen nods. Yes. Rafael: were you ever going to tell me about the other husbands? Carmen: I was going to divorce them. Eventually. I just needed time. Rafael: you married me while married to 2 other men. Then you murdered one of them. The woman I loved doesn't exist. He hangs up the phone, stands, walks away. Carmen presses her hand against the glass, calling his name, but he doesn't turn back. Rafael resigns from Dubai Medical Center on December 22nd, returns to Manila on December 24th. He tells his family he can no longer work as a doctor, that he needs time to heal. He doesn't tell them he's having nightmares every night where he's the one Carmen poisoned instead of Jamal. Dubai Medical Center releases a statement on December 20th. We are shocked and horrified by the events involving Carmen Torres. She has been terminated effective immediately. We are cooperating fully with police investigations. We have implemented new policies regarding employee relationship disclosures and background checks. The hospital faces intense media scrutiny. How did 3 doctors marry the same nurse without anyone noticing? Why weren't there systems to prevent this? The CEO, Dr. Mansour Al-Ali, resigns under pressure on January 15, 2024. The hospital settles multiple lawsuits from staff claiming hostile work environment and inadequate HR oversight. Carmen's mother, Rosa, receives calls from reporters daily. She stops answering. Her neighbors gossip. Children throw stones at her house. Someone spray paints murderer's mother on her door. Rosa stops leaving home except to buy food. Her younger children, Maria and Carlos, are harassed at work. Maria loses her job when her employer discovers she's Carmen Torres' sister. Carlos is beaten by 3 men who recognize him from news coverage. The Torres family, which Carmen destroyed her life trying to save, is now destroyed anyway. The house Carmen's money built becomes a prison. The education Carmen funded becomes worthless when no one will hire the murderer's siblings. Everything Carmen sacrificed for, everything she killed for, is gone. March 18, 2024. Carmen Torres' trial begins at Dubai Criminal Court. The prosecution is led by Rashid Al-Mansouri, 52, a veteran prosecutor with 28 years of experience and a 91% conviction rate. Carmen's defense is handled by her public defender Amina Youssef, who faces an impossible task, defending a woman who confessed to premeditated murder on video. The courtroom is packed. International media, Philippine embassy representatives, Jamal's family, hospital staff, curious observers. Carmen sits at the defense table wearing a gray prison uniform, her hands folded in her lap, her face empty of expression. She's lost 15 kilograms since her arrest. Her hair, once thick and dark, is streaked with gray at 32 years old. Prosecutor Al-Mansouri's opening statement lasts 35 minutes. He presents the case methodically. Carmen Torres married 3 men to obtain citizenship, money, and love. When the first husband threatened to expose her fraud and destroy her family, she poisoned him with a cardiac medication she stole from the hospital where she worked. This was not a crime of passion. This was calculated, premeditated murder. The evidence is overwhelming. Dr. Noor Khalifa testifies about the autopsy, the digoxin level of 8.7 nanograms per milliliter, the clear cause of death. Dr. Mansour died from digoxin toxicity. The dosage was 4 to 5 times the lethal amount. This was not accidental. This was intentional poisoning. The pharmacy records are presented showing Carmen requisitioned digoxin on December 16 at 11:23 a.m., marked it as ICU inventory restock, though no such order existed. Carmen's browser history is shown to the jury. Searches for digoxin lethal dose conducted at 10:47 a.m., less than an hour before she stole the medication. The coffee cup from Jamal's villa is entered as evidence, with forensic reports showing digoxin residue and Carmen's fingerprints. Text messages between Carmen and Jamal are presented. Carmen asking to meet, Jamal agreeing, Carmen offering to make him coffee. Detective Al-Hassan testifies about the investigation, the timeline, the evidence that led to Carmen's arrest. He's calm, professional, devastating. The jury listens without visible reaction. Then the prosecution plays Carmen's full confession. The video is 47 minutes long. The jury watches Carmen explain how she crushed 20 digoxin tablets, stirred them into Jamal's coffee, watched him drink it, watched him collapse, waited 10 minutes to ensure he was dead before calling emergency services. 2 jurors cry. 1 looks away. The confession is damning, complete, irrefutable. James Park testifies via video link from Singapore. He confirms marrying Carmen in April 2022, giving her 180,000 dirhams as wedding gift, discovering at the hospital party that she was married to 2 other men. I thought she loved me. I thought I'd found someone who understood me. Instead, I was just a wallet. She used my money to fund her other marriages. Rafael Santos testifies in person, flies to Dubai specifically for the trial. He's thin, haunted, looks 10 years older than his 35 years. He describes growing up with Carmen, loving her since childhood, following her to Dubai, marrying her at Quiapo Church believing she was single. She married me while married to 2 other men. I thought we were building a life together. Instead, she was building a web of lies. Now 1 man is dead and the rest of us are destroyed. Elena Mansour, Jamal's sister, gives victim impact testimony. My brother was a good man. He gave Carmen everything. Citizenship, money, family, love. She repaid him by poisoning him. She sat in his living room and watched him die. She deserves to spend the rest of her life in prison. Jamal's mother Sheikha Mansour, 68, testifies briefly before breaking down. Carmen took my son. I welcomed her into our family. I loved her. She murdered my child. Sheikha collapses on the witness stand. Court is recessed for 30 minutes. The defense presents psychiatric testimony. Dr. Layla Hassan, a forensic psychiatrist, testifies that Carmen was under extreme psychological stress, that she acted from a place of desperation rather than malice. Carmen Torres grew up in severe poverty. Her entire identity was built around providing for her family. When Dr. Mansour threatened to destroy her family financially, Carmen suffered a psychological break. She saw no other option. Prosecutor Al-Mansouri destroys this defense on cross-examination. Dr. Hassan, Carmen Torres researched lethal doses of digoxin hours before stealing the medication. She requisitioned exactly enough to kill Dr. Mansour. She made coffee to mask the taste. She waited 10 minutes after his heart stopped to call emergency services. Does that sound like a psychological break? Or does that sound like careful planning? Dr. Hassan has no adequate response. Carmen's defense strategy is mitigation, not innocence. Amina Youssef argues that Carmen should be convicted of second-degree murder rather than first-degree, that the killing was not premeditated but rather a desperate act by a desperate woman. Carmen Torres made terrible choices. She married 3 men out of desperation to support her impoverished family. When one husband threatened to destroy that family, she panicked. This was not calculated murder. This was a tragic decision made in a moment of extreme stress. But the evidence of premeditation is overwhelming. The internet searches, the stolen medication, the planning, the execution, the waiting to ensure death before calling for help. Prosecutor Al-Mansouri's closing argument is devastating. Carmen Torres is a trained cardiac ICU nurse. She knows exactly what digoxin does. She knows therapeutic doses versus lethal doses. She researched it. She stole it. She administered it. She watched Jamal Mansour die and did nothing to save him. Ladies and gentlemen, this is textbook premeditated murder. Carmen Torres deserves the maximum penalty under UAE law. The trial lasts 12 days. The jury deliberates for 6 hours and 23 minutes. March 30, 2024. The verdict is read at 3:15 p.m. guilty of first-degree premeditated murder. Carmen shows no visible reaction. Her face remains blank. Inside, she's already gone, already accepted this outcome weeks ago. Sentencing is set for April 15, 2024. Judge Khalifa Al-Mazrui presides. He's 58 years old, has sentenced hundreds of criminals over 22 years on the bench, never shows emotion in court. But when he looks at Carmen Torres sitting in the defendant's chair, he sees not just a murderer but a tragedy of choices that destroyed multiple lives. Victim impact statements are presented. Elena Mansour speaks for the family. Carmen Torres destroyed our family. My brother is dead. My father had a heart attack from the stress and died 3 months after Jamal. 2 deaths on Carmen's hands. My mother can't sleep. can't eat, cries every day. We will never recover. Rosa Torres appears via video link from Manila, requested by the defense. She's aged dramatically in 4 months. Gray hair, weight loss, eyes that have seen too much suffering. Your Honor, my daughter made terrible mistakes, but she is not evil. Everything she did was to save us from poverty. I wish she had let us starve instead. I would rather be poor with my daughter free than have the blood money that bought our house. I'm begging for mercy. Judge Almazruiai listens to both sides. Then he addresses Carmen directly. Carmen Torres, you were entrusted with saving lives as a nurse. Instead, you used your medical knowledge to take a life. You manipulated 3 men simultaneously. You committed marriage fraud. When one husband threatened to expose you, you poisoned him. You showed Dr. Mansour no mercy as he died. This court shows you no mercy. Sentence: life imprisonment with a minimum of 25 years before parole eligibility. Carmen will be 57 years old at her first parole hearing in 2049. Carmen is transferred to Alawur Central Jail, Women's Section, on April 16, 2024. She shares a cell with 3 other women, works 8 hours daily in the prison laundry, attends Catholic services every Sunday. Other inmates know what she did. Some respect her for trying to protect her family. Some despise her for manipulating 3 men and murdering 1. Carmen keeps to herself, speaks to no one unless necessary, writes letters to her mother every week that Rosa cannot bring herself to answer. The 3 marriages are legally annulled in May 2024. Jamal's marriage, annulled posthumously on grounds of fraud and bigamy. James's marriage, annulled on grounds of bigamy since Carmen was already married to Jamal. Raphael's marriage, annulled on grounds of bigamy since Carmen was married to Jamal and James. None of the marriages were legally valid except the first. This means James and Raphael were never legally Carmen's husbands, which provides cold comfort to neither man. James Park remains in Singapore, working at Singapore General Hospital as cardiac surgeon. He's brilliant at his work, emotionally unavailable to everyone, refuses to date or socialize. Colleagues know nothing about his past. In therapy sessions twice weekly, James tells his psychiatrist, I gave her 180,000 dirhams. I thought I'd found someone who understood me. Instead, I was a bank account. She murdered the first husband when he threatened her scheme. I could have been next. Rafael Santos remains in Manila, living with his parents, unable to work. The Philippine Medical Association suspended his license pending psychiatric evaluation. He's diagnosed with major depressive disorder, complex PTSD, has been hospitalized twice for suicidal ideation. By August 2024, he starts working at a rural clinic in Batangas province, far from Manila, far from memories. He treats poor farmers and fishermen who cannot afford private doctors. He never marries. His family says the light in him died the day he learned the truth. Carmen's family in Manila suffers ongoing consequences. The house Carmen's money built deteriorates without funds for maintenance. Rosa, 59, returns to washing clothes for 250 pesos daily, but arthritis in her hands makes the work agony. Carlos, 26, drives a jeepney earning barely enough for food. Maria, 29, works as a domestic helper, was abandoned by her husband who took their daughter. The Torres family is socially destroyed. Neighbors refuse to speak to them. Children throw stones. Someone burns down their small sari-sari store. The family becomes pariahs in their own community, paying forever for Carmen's crimes. 1 year later, December 2024, Carmen has been in Alawur prison for 8 months. She's been placed in solitary confinement twice, once for attempting to stockpile sleeping pills, once for self-harm. She's on permanent suicide watch, sees a prison psychiatrist weekly, takes medication for major depression. In a prison interview with a journalist from Al Jazeera English in November 2024, Carmen speaks for the first time since her conviction. I destroyed everyone. Jamal is dead. James and Raphael's lives are ruined. My family lost everything. And for what? We're poorer now than when I started. I should have just stayed poor. Money bought us nothing but misery and death. Rosa Torres, interviewed by Philippine media in December 2024, says through tears, "My daughter sent money for 8 years. We built a better life. Then it collapsed in one night. I would rather have lived my whole life poor than have this blood money. At least my daughter would be free." Dubai Medical Center implements comprehensive policy changes. Mandatory annual disclosure of marital status, thorough background checks including marriage verification, anonymous reporting systems for staff concerns about colleagues. The hospital's reputation suffers permanently. Patient admissions decline 18% in 2024. The viral video from the December 15th party remains online, has 73 million views as of December 2024. Jumeirah Grand Hotel removes all references to the December 15th event from their marketing materials. The ballroom where the exposure happened is renovated, renamed, trying to escape association with the scandal. The cake with the 3 wedding photos becomes an internet meme, symbol of secrets exposed, lives destroyed. Carmen Torres came to Dubai in 2018 to escape poverty and save her family. She worked 70-hour weeks for 6 years, sent 70% of her salary to Manila, watched her family thrive. She married Jamal for citizenship, James for money, Rafael for love. She tried to maintain all 3 simultaneously, believing she could manage the impossible. When the truth was exposed at a hospital party, when Jamal threatened to destroy her family, Carmen poisoned him with digoxin and watched him die. Now Carmen is serving life in prison. Jamal Mansour is dead at 41. James Park is emotionally destroyed, living in exile in Singapore. Rafael Santos is psychologically broken, unable to practice medicine. Carmen's family in Manila is poorer and more desperate than before she left. 9 lives destroyed by desperation, lies, and murder. Carmen Torres will be eligible for parole in 2049 at age 57. She will have spent 25 years in prison. Her family will likely never forgive her. Jamal's family will never heal. James and Rafael will carry trauma forever. There are no winners, only victims of poverty, desperation, and the deadly choice Carmen made when cornered. She was a brilliant nurse who saved countless lives in the cardiac ICU. Then she took one life. And in taking Jamal Mansour's life, she destroyed her own and everyone connected to her. Carmen Torres will never be forgotten. But not for the reasons she dreamed when she first arrived in Dubai, hoping to build a better life for everyone she loved.